Hey everybody out there on YouTube, it ain't rocket science here. Disclaimer really quickly, I'm not using a lav mic, couldn't find one today, so that is why the sound quality is a little bit lower than usual. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be focusing purely on a CO2 emission solution that will make a new food source, a new fuel source, and consolidate CO2 at the same time. Anyways, on to the show. This new solution is algae. Algae is capable of filtering CO2 like other trees and plant life. The advantage to algae is that it can be done underwater, therefore eliminating ocean acidification. This is a big plus. Also, it is a huge food source, and biofuel could be one of the bigger ways to overthrow the petroleum industry. It's very viable, and we're going to go over that in this video. So biofuel is a big way that we could overthrow our petroleum diesel addiction here in America. So we have to take into account, so this is if we are actually going to try to overthrow the petroleum industry, which would be catastrophic for world trade and a lot of things, but it could be done slowly, and this is one way that we could do it. Algae biofuel, of course. We need 138 billion gallons of petroleum diesel every year here in the US. So we have to take into account the 2% efficiency drop between algae, biofuel, and petroleum. So it's not as efficient, but it is very good for the environment. So 2% efficiency drop, so we're actually going to need 140.8 billion gallons of algae biofuel a year to overthrow the petroleum industry, in the US at least. And so let's talk space. This is a lot of space, of course, but we're going to need 15,000 square miles of space to build this farm. That's a huge amount of space, 9.5 million acres. But let's put that into perspective with how much space is used to grow other foods and cattle. So the space required for food in the US is currently 450 million acres. So that's a lot of space. Now, algae biofuel to grow enough, and this is the good part, algae makes a huge amount of food. Have you ever had those seaweed packs in your lunch if you're a kid, or bought them at Trader Joe's as an adult? That's all algae. That is algae, that's kelp, that is seaweed. They're all variations of algae and kelp, and kelp is technically algae. So it's just a big family of green underwater plants. So yeah. So that's a huge food source. It also is a huge amount of oil. So like a lot of people use algae oil instead of olive oil. You probably don't, but maybe you do. So shout out to all those algae oil users, because that's a thing that we all know how to do. But yeah, so it's a huge food source. So 9.5 would not be that many acres, 9.5 million would not be that many acres to put and replace some food. Like, let's even imagine that the US makes it an incentive. Instead, over corn, algae growing would be an incentive for farmers to do, and that would make it easy to spread that much space for algae growers. So yeah, it's a great plan actually, I think at least. And yeah, so there's also, fact time, just fun fact, there's also 500 million used for grazing cattle. And I talked about this in the last video, 5% or 20% less red meat in your diet every week is very good for the environment. So do that. Just gonna say that there. Yeah, and so this is also, we would have to put this in a desert. That's where it would be most efficient. We don't actually have to put it in a desert, but that would be a great place to put it. And a lot of the desert climates in LA, or not in LA, in the US are completely abandoned. There's nothing there. And an algae farm would be great because a lot of CO2 is there, a lot of stuff is there, but it's not inhabited. So you can also just put a farm there. And the reason why it's most efficient in a desert is because, well, algae, like other plants, use photosynthesis to create their fuel, their oil in this case for algae. And so the more light, the more heat, the more sun, the more CO2, that the algae has, the better for it to grow. To show how actually easy it is to build an algae farm, an artist at the Festival de Neve in Switzerland built an algae farm on an on-ramp to a highway. This is pretty crazy. I know you guys are thinking that it's insane, but it's not. It actually shows you that it's very easy to grow an algae farm, and it's a great place. More CO2, more food for algae. I hope you guys have enjoyed this awesome It Ain't Rocket Science video. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for tuning in. And please slam that like and share. To sum it all up, algae is eating CO2, making us food and fuel, and can be done almost anywhere. You can build a farm pretty much everywhere. Desert, it can be underwater, it can be above water in some cases, like in barrels, filled with water. There has to be water in the mix. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this awesome It Ain't Rocket Science video. It's a little bit short, but I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Again, excuse the sound quality. Thanks for watching. Bye.